you do the presentation?
Yep. Whatever you want. Minutes first.
Yep, Ken, Sandra.
Just need a motion for somebody to approve the minutes from last month. Ron, and takes a second.
All in favor, aye?
Okay, so we are back to some level of business here in 2020. So we had some things going on, you might remember, before the world came to an end, and now we're getting back to work. So some of the things that this group was working on were our capital projects. We're going to run through an update on each of those and where they stand. So we had, first is the highway fuel project. The last time you guys were talking about this, well, not the last time, but just as a refresher, the last time we voted on anything was a November 5th special meeting. At that time, the committee said they wanted to go with the above ground tanks. They wanted option 3 from Stantec. They wanted to prepare for the heating rods, but don't install them in the tanks. We said the tanks would be installed by the contractor, with the county to stockpile dirt for backfill, and we talked about us doing some general earthwork over there. And then we did want to hire and retain Stantec to design Concept 3B for an estimated budget of $529,000. Then Stantec came back with their contract, which was different slightly from their proposal that they gave us. So we haggled with them until January. We finally retained them in January, and then we had COVID. So here we are. Just as a reminder, this is what we chose, 3B East Side location AST. Total cost, $529,000. This is from Stantec's original proposal. This was option 3B. You've got the 2 tanks, 2 10,000 gallon tanks in front. You've got the pumps over here, zoomed in view, 2 tanks. Trucks can come in, drive through either side, 2 pumps there, and then drive right back out, or vice versa. So that is, this is what they ended up designing. It's hard to see, I know, but we do have a copy of the prints over there on the podium. But basically, you should be able to see similar thing. Here's East Road, here's the 2 pumps, here's the 2 tanks. Zoomed in view, East Road, 2 pumps, 2 tanks. We added we realized since we talked to you guys that the generator that's across the street in the main highway garage is not hooked up to the fuel tanks currently. So we added a conduit that would run across the street from the old building to hook up to the pump so that they can be hooked up to the generator. So that was added to the project, a pretty minimal cost to dig a trench and add a line. And then we did put in a post, an electrical box right here, so that if we ever did want to build another highway garage across the street, all the conduit's in, the post is there, the electrical's in place. As long as we're digging up the road, might as well put the electrical in place for any future projects that might happen across the street. So we added those couple things. Other than that, Warren, is there any other details that are worth talking about? I know Jerry had some things he wanted to bring up.
Right, that'd be, I think the only other thing was possible deducts that we talked about.
Okay, so do you and Jerry want to talk about the deducts that you guys were discussing?
Sure. Warren has been notified that, depending on what the bid price comes in and different stuff, that we'd like to put some deducts in. Stantec and Warren talked about it as far as if we're over. We cannot put something in the project and still have the project but not be over cost and stuff like that. And it was brought, we were discussing it just a few minutes ago, and correct me if I'm wrong when I say it. Some savings if we go from 10,000 gallon tanks to 9,000 gallon tanks. It'd be 2,000 less than we have on top of the ground. But it's what, 4,000 more than we have now.
4,000 more than we have.
And roughly we're able to get along on the average, what is it, 2.5 weeks at normal when we're real busy.
Mm-hmm.
We usually dump a load
Yep, 7,000 to 8,000
once a week or
gallons.
so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would not affect us badly, so we'd like to have a discussion, see what the committee thinks about taking that out, going to, from 10,000 gallon tank to 9,000 gallon tank.
And the savings is 4,000, is that what you said?
No, it's 36,000. And that way it'll, that if it's a savings period, and it'll give us a little bit more leeway in case it did come in, if we want to add the two other things that we would put on deduct to get it low enough to bid, you know, after the bid comes in.
My only question would be, if you go down that road, is there, you have a vision for the future where the fuel demand may increase and that would crimp any expansion that might be necessary in the future?
I don't think so, no. I think it would cover enough on it because,
It'd be, I mean, essentially, probably what would happen, you just get fuel delivery twice a week
yeah.
instead of
okay.
once a week at maximum,
Yeah, yeah,
because we're only dropping 2,000 gallons.
yeah. I think we'd still be all right with what we do for our equipment. We got the state, the town, and the school. I think the fire department draws off it too, but we're bumping our capacity up by 4,000 gallons what we have right now, so.
So you'd still be three ahead if you drop down to that.
Right.
You'd still be plus 3,000, even if you drop.
Oh, no, it's 4,000 at the 18,000 mark with the two 9,000 gallon tanks. We're 4,000 gallon more if we drop to the 9.
We
To
drop
9.
1,000 in each tank.
So we have 14.
We have 14 right
Instead of
now.
going up to 20, we've got 18.
Right, right.
Save $36,000.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the committee discussion? We have motion? Ron, second? Andrea, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried.
They don't need to redesign anything to do that, do they?
She said just the minimal changes in the plans is all she thought.
There won't be any huge engineering costs.
I don't think so. We had talked about that, and I'll get on the phone right after this
Yeah.
and
The
talk
other
with
thing
them.
is time too.
Yeah,
We want to get this thing done.
right.
Well, that's the next thing here is, so design documents are complete to the specs that the committee asked. Bid documents are complete for our purchasing policy. So we'd like to try to get this forward, hopefully let it out to bid this week. So if we gotta make those changes, you know, say instead of getting out to bid tomorrow, we can get it out to bid Friday. You know, that's still acceptable, but I wouldn't wanna move our opening date too much because we gotta keep this thing moving if we're gonna get any, you know, get it done this year, so.
So you want to put a tag on that if they can't do it by Friday, then we just stay where we were?
I think that you could eat up half of your savings in engineering costs if they have to redesign this whole thing.
I'll bet you it won't take them 5 minutes.
Well, that's not what I was going to say on paper.
Well, we'll call them and see.
Yeah.
I haven't had a conversation. I
Yep.
think it was something Barbara mentioned offhand with one of
Yeah,
them.
we had a conversation yesterday.
Because what they're
Call-
looking
conference
for
call.
savings in case comes in high. And there was some other stuff too, but we originally put it in and probably ought to keep that in, so we'll just,
If the bid comes in high, we'll do what we've done in the past, which is we'll have to sit down and we'll have to look at, you know, if there's some ways to trim here or there. Maybe some things that we can do in-house that we're gonna have a contractor do, you know. But hopefully, you know, this has got, the number that we talked about here
Mm-hmm.
has got 10% plan and 20% contingency, so, you know, we're hopefully on the conservative end of this.
Jerry, did you want to do that deduct for the duct fluid tank or leave it?
no, I mean, if we do that and they can get it done in time,
Mm-hmm.
that should cover everything.
Okay. Yep. So we won't worry about any
I
other
would throw them
deducts.
in there just in case, have them throw them in just in case.
The deduct, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay. The other two deducts we talked about with
yeah.
the paving and
I think Phil had a question.
Phil?
How long will the installation take?
They thought it would be done like the first of November, end of October, I guess.
2 or 3 months?
Yep, probably a good 2 months, yep.
My thought would be to have a conversation with Warren, Ryan, and Jerry, and through you guys come with a solution of whether you want to go to 9,000 gallon, you know, if they can get it done in 2 days, and you want to go to 9, or if you want to stick with the original design because that's not possible, you know, the three of you can make that decision. That would be my preference.
If she says it's easy, boom, fixed, and done, move on.
And if it's all right with you, Warren, to call and talk to him now. Maybe have an answer before we're out of here today.
Go ahead, yeah, you're good. That's the last thing that we got on for
I
hours.
can step off.
Thank you, Warren.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
All right, solid waste stuff. Any questions, other things on the fuel project before we move on? Okay. Solid waste upgrades. This is, we're talking about changing over from the compactor 50-yard system to the open top 100-yard system, which sounds really easy until you talk about dumping a 100-yard trailer in a building that was designed for a 50-yard trailer. So we have to start talking about structural changes to buildings, and it's not just equipment, it's a little more complicated. So we did have Barton and LeGudas complete a report for us on 2 options: retrofitting our existing buildings so that they could be accommodated for a larger dump box. The second was building a new building that would be accommodated for a larger dump box. I was hopeful that we'd have that report today. The first draft was completed last week. There were some minor changes, some typos, and some things we wanted to clean up. We will get you guys the final report hopefully in the next couple days. Give you some time to look at it, and then what I would recommend is that we do a special meeting with the committee and Barton and LeGudas to review the report and discuss next steps. So just like we did with Stantec, we got the engineering report, we sat down with Stantec, we went through step by step, we gave you guys a chance to review it, look it over, and decide how we want to move forward. So if we can get you that, when do you think, you talked to BNL today, Kip, when's that final report going to be done?
He's going to have it this week, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if we get it for you this week, is there a date that you guys would want to get together with Barton and LeGudas to go over the report with them? Or we could do it
Anybody have
before
one?
the July meeting, I guess. If you came in early, we can do that too, whatever works.
Sometime next week, maybe? I'll have Kellen in front of me. One day of the week any better than others?
I got 24th, which is a Wednesday. It worked for me.
How about everybody else? Morning or evening, afternoon?
I just didn't do it in the morning, but I mean, if I had to be the afternoon, I could live with it.
That was Wednesday, what did you say, Ron?
Yeah, Wednesday the 24th.
In the morning?
If I call him,
First time, yes, sir.
then if I call him, Jerry? Jerry, sorry, can I call into that? Or do you want us all here for?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just have to get a conference number. I was looking for Dick, I lost him. Oh, okay. Is that good for you? Yeah, whatever time we can do it in the morning.
So that's a go? That's a go then?
Yep.
So 24th in the AM.
And is there a specific time in the morning when you're more available?
Anytime in the morning's fine.
Okay.
Earlier than we can get started, the better. That's all, probably everybody.
Okay. We will set that up.
And the rest of the legislators, if they want to attend, they're welcome to too.
We'll get you the report so that way you've got time to review it and get your questions ready. Okay, so that's where we stand with solid waste.
Ryan,
Yes.
just before we move off that, we've got the salary thing on the next day, the 25th. Any chance of doing them one time, one day or the other together, or?
I couldn't get my calendar up quick enough here. I mean, I'm at your disposal, that's my job.
I just offered
Whatever works.
so that we could talk about it.
What time is that salary one? Jim?
1 o'clock, I think, 1 o'clock on mine.
The only thing would be, can you bump that one up a little bit? Would people be able to do that?
To avoid coming 2 days in a row, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, when we find out when we're doing it in the morning, we'll leave maybe and try to leave an hour, but we can ask, everybody can ask the questions they want. And then after that, you'll have a little bit of a break, and then you guys can go into your other one.
Great.
So what date we settle on, sorry? 25th?
24th, if you can do it.
No,
Thursday's the
As
25th.
long as it's one day, right?
Around the 20th.
25th is Thursday and 24th is Wednesday.
Right, move the 25th to the 24th after the,
Either way's fine with me, I just, either day. I just don't, having 2 meetings.
well,
Okay.
that was the best day for.
Well, I can do the 25th, if that's what people prefer.
That's where you're at now.
Oh, I'm sorry, well, I wrote it down,
No,
didn't you
you're
say the
right.
24th?
Yeah,
Okay, but I mean, I can do the 25th, I guess, if that's when somebody wants to do it.
All right. We will set up a schedule so that the people that cross over to both committees only have to come in once on the 25th. If that's okay.
25th, okay.
Would you like me to go down and confirm this with you now? Like,
Good idea. There we go. Then we'll know
25th,
exactly.
is any special time, and probably thinking in the morning?
Yeah. Well, don't do it right now. Good. We'll figure it out. We'll send out an email with all the confirmations because we got to balance Randy's committee too. So we got to make
You're
sure.
gonna send that to everyone.
Send it to everyone.
Okay, so if the ad hoc is gonna be at 1 o'clock and you move that to 2, how long is this B&L thing gonna take?
I think we're probably gonna have a halfway decent discussion on stuff and try to understand it, so, I would give it 2 to 3 hours. Hopefully it's done in 2, but we want enough time that we can get our questions answered.
Well, the ad hoc doesn't have to, so why don't you call the B&L for 11 o'clock, and then immediately following that, we can move into the ad hoc. Does that make any sense?
Well, whatever, I prefer to have it early in the morning to be done with it.
It's only gonna take 2 hours or 3 hours. Rather be hanging, well,
We'll figure.
okay, yeah, set it up for whatever in the morning, then we'll move the ad hoc. committee.
We'll have Cassandra work on it, but I think
Okay.
with one day to get everybody at the same time is an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
The morning of the 25th is what everyone prefers, right? Yes. Okay, so we can work with them then, right?
All right, with you, Randy?
Yeah. That'd be fine.
You gotta check your busy schedule these days.
Gotta check my beer delivery, that's all that matters.
Well, let me know when that is, will you?
Yeah, you know where
Maybe
we
that's when
stand,
we
Burns.
should schedule.
You know where we stand, Burns, we ain't friends.
All right, public safety building boiler. That was something that came out of our ad hoc committee for capital projects. That committee said, yep, let's get going, let's rock and roll with it. So, Matt has been engaging with an engineering firm, Fourth Coast out of Clayton. They're taking a look at the building drawings as they stand. They're taking a look at the BCA report that had the specs for the new HVAC system. If the results are acceptable, they're basically working on it free of charge for us right now. They're taking a look at things and coming back with some high-level recommendations. If we like what we see, then we can pay them by the hour to design, the bid document, so we put it out to bid. So that would be the proposal. Or option 2 is always, we gotta do an RFQ, request for qualifications, allow, all the different engineering firms to bid. The advantage of using Fourth Coast is it's going to be faster, cheaper, and local. The option 2 is you know, you're gonna have a lot more options, and your bid documents are probably gonna be a lot more detailed and a lot more involved, which could be a good thing, but I guarantee if you hire one of these big firms, you're gonna get probably a bigger cost as well. So that's the kind of what we're balancing. It's up to you guys, however you wanna go forward. If you wanna put out an RFQ, fine with us. That's totally up to you guys. If you wanna, if we have faith in this guy that's working on it right now, that he can put together, you know, it's a pretty basic project. We're replacing a boiler, we gotta make sure everything's balanced. So it's up to the committee how you guys wanna go forward. Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. I think that, you know, the Fourth Coast will do a really good job. He's done a lot of work for Jefferson County. So I think highly recommended for Jefferson County. So.
And I had talked to Matt a little bit. The reason we're doing it is so everybody's bidding the same specifications, not coming in there and designing it. And what we're hoping for, because it's been 30 years since the building was originally designed, heat and air conditioning, we just want to make sure that when we do this project, we've done it right. I mean, some of the problems are they can't really control, say on the civil side. Maybe one room's colder than you know what because they're the first ones on the ductwork. So what would it take to kind of to branch them off and separate them so there's a little bit better control like we have here to a certain extent, and do it right the first time, not have to go back and redo it later.
So you're gonna point that out to Fourth Coast, is that what you're saying? You want to keep those changes made?
Yeah, that's what we want to do, is get somebody to put the specs together, what they recommend we should do. And so everybody's bidding on the same thing. If we do it the other way around, I think we're gonna, like Ryan says, pay for a lot more than what we get. One of the requirements is, and Matt and I talked about, and Ryan, is that whatever he draws, he's responsible for. Just like a regular full-fledged thing would be. So we'll be covered there. But, let's make it right, do it right, so it works efficiently. So, what do you want to do? Start with Force Call or?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
This Fourth Coast construction firm, I'm familiar with the name, but I don't know much about them. If they're a construction firm, somehow in there, you're not going to have them design it and then do it without bidding. So they'll have to be held up so they can't bid on the construction piece.
Right.
They can design, right?
They would, the two companies that we work with, Train and Siemens right now for our two HVAC contracts. So I would like those two people to, bid on this project to do, because we've already are working with them. We've had several contracts with them over the years for service contracts on all of our buildings, so.
And likewise the hospital too, so, and I think the school, so it makes sense for that.
Yeah, Train does a lot of stuff in the area.
What we're trying to do is not get the person to design it that would be building.
Exactly, right, yeah.
So in other words, this is what we need and everybody's bidding on the same thing.
But he will be able to stamp the drawings, PE?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and that's what they do more of. Fourth Coast is more HVAC and
That's correct.
geothermal. Yeah.
So
Who from the town is responsible for, approving these drawings or whatever it is? Is anybody specific?
it'll be, once we get to that point, we'll all be sitting down and giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And when we have the discussion, if we want to do, if the committee wants to be involved, we'll let them know. You're welcome to be there.
So we're good with continuing on with Fourth Coast, it sounds like.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
So we want to make,
You want that in the
you want a
motion?
motion on that?
Probably, well, you can, yeah, because you know what, that way we don't have to wait a whole other month if we do need a contract. So why don't, if I could make a suggestion,
Do we have a motion to go with Coco?
I would say,
Second, Andrea? You want to say something?
What do you want them to do? What do you
so
want?
I was gonna suggest that you make a motion to work with and contract with Fourth Coast. Because we're kind of working with them right now, but rather than having to wait a whole nother month, if we do want to get a contract enrolled, let's.
To evaluate that system
Yeah.
and to give us a design on what they recommend.
Yeah, if we like the recommendation. But if he comes back, everything's good, and we want to move forward, rather than waiting one
Then we
month,
can.
just go along.
Yeah, because that's what we're waiting on anyways, when he gets back to you with the information.
Yeah.
So, the goal with Forest Call, if we like the design, and, we'll be able to move forward then. You still?
Sure.
Second? Andrea? All in favor, aye?
Gary, can I ask a
Dick,
question?
yeah.
I'm just reading that top piece where they're reviewing the BCA report. BCA already did a design of some kind, right?
They just did a cost estimate,
Right.
and they outlined some of the things that were wrong with the existing heating system. They
Basically,
actually-
they said that in the BCA report, they spoke about that, the system is near end its useful life and recommend replacement. That's as far as their report goes.
But we paid for that, and there's no way BCA is gonna say, hey, that's our document, we need something for it, right? We can use their document, the Fourth Coast, and put it up for bid?
We own.
That's my question.
We own it.
We own it,
Pay
good.
for it.
Okay.
We decided, yeah, so you decided to say so.
Okay.
No, that won't be a problem.
Yeah. Just wanted to ask.
Yeah, but I mean, and I don't mean to be negative in that report, there's not enough information to make a decision anyway.
Yeah, so that's a little misleading up there. They're,
Right.
we're looking at cost estimates rather
Right.
than a whole design.
They were looking at conditions, but not really how to solve the problems.
That's fine.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Other projects, PSB impound yard, repointing the courthouse and public safety building, highway asbestos removal and siding. All of these projects, the contracts have already been approved by the board. They're in the final stages of executing the contract with the vendor. They could start work any day. As soon as the contracts are done and they get us on the schedule, they're rolling. So those projects will be happening this summer.
What's that all
Maybe
for?
Joe could just speak on the status of those contracts, the ones you guys still have left to go out, Joe?
Impound is out.
Yeah.
The other two are going out this week.
Oh, okay.
What were you asking, Dick?
What's that total figure?
17,000, 100, what did we get for that one?
86, I think.
17, 86, and 180, right?
Okay.
So,
It's still under the total that highway, it's coming out of the capital project for highway.
this, we budgeted 400 grand for this one, and the budget for the bids came in way low.
Okay.
So that's
Half
right.
price.
Good.
We just took the BCA recommendation. Okay, that's it for projects.
Thank you, Ryan. Anybody have any questions for Ryan?
Thanks for the update.
We'll give you a heads up. Harrisville, we had, whether we were gonna have to clean up or not. It looks like the project has been started. There's supposedly a loader or excavator, a small one, and a dumpster there. So Warren was supposed to gather, he's gone now. Do you happen to have those, Ryan? The dumpster places and stuff like that?
I took a real quick look at him. He was gonna run copies for you, Brian.
Okay,
I think one of them said 5,200 and the other one said 5,800.
okay.
Were the quotes from outside vendors to do it.
That gives us a ballpark on the rest of them too, where we might be lying and stuff like that, so. But right now, it looks like we're not gonna need it up there, which is all right with us, I think, so.
So it looks like he's gonna do it, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, as long as it keeps progressing along. If it stops, then we're gonna have to do what we gotta do.
I drove by this morning, Dick, and he had that excavator there in the box, like he said he was going to.
Okay, good.
And I assume he's paying rent on the excavator, so he's probably gonna want to get it done sooner than later, I guess.
I would think so, yeah.
His lease is for a week, so he's gonna want to get it done.
And then
He's hired it for a week?
Yes, it's leased for a week.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, I got an email from Joan, And she would like to, I don't know if you had anything as far as, I don't think it made it into our,
Cassandra, did we make copies of that proposed resolution?
No, I don't think.
I'll go make it in the meantime.
okay, we'll get back to it.
Jerry, there's another property up there that Ward needs to tell you about too.
Okay.
Within the village in Harrisville, it's now Diana, there is a Blue Moon Cafe. That structure, the owner passed, I was told 2 years ago. The structure is coming up, talked to Patty for taxation, for forfeiture of taxes. I had a complaint from a neighbor, went and investigated. It's a violation of the junkyard law, violation of property maintenance law, violation of the unsafe structures law. The neighbor claimed that the man in the home had moved back to Illinois to surviving siblings, or children, should I say. So all the doors are wide open, it's garbage everywhere, all the lights have been left on, so this is something that we more than, like, problem is I have no one to even serve a notice to, as the owner has passed.
It's a hazard, it's a real danger. I mean, there's like, what, 6 motel rooms
Six
there.
motel rooms.
And
wide
the
open.
doors are wide open. And I'm sure kids are going in there and it's a untenable situation. We need to secure it, I should think, Jerry. I don't have any pictures, but if you saw the pictures,
Well, I guess that.
If it's an unsafe structure under that local law that we have, if Ward brings that report to the board, they can order that if you order that. It's unsafe.
it's definitely unsafe.
That is within the that's
Right.
When we sell it, we're lucky to get $6 the way it looks right now, you know. And I understand, you know, we'd be adding funds to it to secure the building, but on the other hand,
Safety of the community, though.
yeah, it's a danger, I'd say.
What shape is the buildings in? Pretty rough, or?
The house itself needs some TLC. Garage, at one time, that used to be quite a place. They used to bring the boats from Lake Bonaparte, seal them, and then he had a small engine shop there to do all the repairs, and the hotel itself was quite nice, but not the last 2-3 years. They're not in danger of collapse, but they definitely need to be secured.
5-10 years ago.
It's been closed a while.
Part of the place right by the bridge?
It
Yeah,
is.
right across.
The DOH was one that
Very
closed.
across from Stewart's,
Yeah, before you get to the hydrant, right?
yes.
Last year, I had cited them for a junkyard violation, drove by the next week, and the vehicle, they were in compliance, so I thought they were good. And I did the investigation for this complaint, and see they just pushed the vehicles over the back bank by the river. So that needs to be addressed.
Is this up for,
Can you check on that?
Taxation.
we were taking possession of it?
According to Patty, not Patty, Candy,
It's on the list.
it's on the. It is on the list?
It's
Okay,
definitely-
so we're already in process of.
Right.
Yeah, once we get that, can we board it up then?
I'm not familiar
We're
with
gonna
the
have to
details
change it.
of our law, but I would assume there's a procedure before we
Right.
send our crew out to do it. So
Right.
Joan, what's the,
I'll have to look at it, I'll need that report.
so were you saying you included that report in
I
your
did.
monthly report?
It's here, it's within that.
So can we consider that, if Joan takes a look at it, can we consider that the report file so we can get it boarded up this week?
Perfect.
Well, we're gonna need the board resolution after the meeting.
So
We wouldn't be able to do it until probably the
the board,
second. Or, I mean, if we had possession, one or the other, right?
We don't have possession yet.
We don't yet.
It's in the foreclosure process, but we don't
Okay.
own it yet.
So feel, we need anything else from Ward as far as,
No, I would say that if it truly is a unsafe structure that people are going to get hurt, then I would, as long as the board, we've got 10 people here, even though we're in this committee, someone feels comfortable with us sending Matt's crew up for an afternoon to just drill some plywood into it, you know, that I don't feel that we need to wait until after our July meeting if we want to get it going. If it's that much of a danger to the public, I guess.
As long as we're covered before we do it.
Well, yeah, but the law, our local law says you gotta wait for a resolution to full board. However you guys want it. I don't know, I wasn't prepared to talk about this today, so.
Oh, I wasn't either, so what do you guys think? I mean, I understand the urgency, but on the same aspect, I don't want to hang us up.
I'm not sure how the law reads. Can we legally go in there and board it up before we take possession of it?
Yeah, we did with the house that burned out in Lowville. We've done it a couple times since I've been here, not often though, but if it is
Yeah, if we can follow that process, I guess I could support that, you know, and not get us involved. If not, we'll have to wait for
So you guys can make a motion that will turn into a resolution for the July meeting, to deem it an unsafe structure. Would that be sufficient word if they call it an unsafe structure? Okay, then we'll turn into a resolution for July 8th, July 7th.
Okay.
whatever it is.
We'll put a motion on the floor to deem this an unsafe structure. You got the address and everything.
Correct.
So Cassandra's gonna need that to go with the motion, I believe. What else do we need?
Give Matt permission to go board it up. I agree.
Well, once we find out what we can and can't do at that point in time. And we can give Matt, providing that he can do it.
Well, do it on the burned out structure the next day. Be able to do that up there.
We waited, I think we waited. We declared that an unsafe structure too, didn't we?
We did the first day of the day it burned, we declared it as an unsafe structure.
Who declared it? Did the board declare it?
I did. I
You
declared it.
So why do you need the board to declare it unsafe?
In order to board that structure up, I still need the board's approval to go onto that property. You can't trespass, long and short of it, to board that structure.
Why can't we just follow the same process that we followed, that you used down the road?
I don't remember that. I honestly can't
Why
remember.
can't we follow the same process that you used down
We'll
here?
follow the same process. Problem is, Larry, we don't do this often enough to memorize it. The exact steps, what I'll do is I'll go back to the office, I'll grab that, how we did it, procedure, I'll get it to you today. We'll have it.
I appreciate it, but I'd still like to start gathering stuff and getting ready to do it. Once, you know, the attorney gets an okay that we're covered, then Matt's crew go up and take care of it. And stuff like that, and it's at least protected.
So we need a motion to move that process forward? or-
Yeah, I think Jerry's motion is sufficient, that we'll turn it in, and if it needs to be a resolution, we'll turn it into a resolution. If we can act on that motion, we'll act. I think we understand the intent of the committee is to get this thing boarded up safely without giving ourselves liability as quickly.
I would just add to your motion, to do it under the advisement of the county attorney.
There you go.
He says it's good to go. She's going to protect us as well, right?
Great.
So I made the motion, we have a second. Ron, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, nay? Carried. Does anybody got any other things for discussion? I guess we're ready for dockets.
Okay, the first one is local law intro number 6-2020, a local law regulating and permitting special events on county roads, trails, or other county property, and setting the public hearing for August 4th, 2020, from 5 o'clock p.m. to 5:30 p.m.
Is there any questions or discussion on local law? You may be satisfied with the way it's been changed? Okay?
Yeah, this is the for the public.
Yeah.
You know, can't meet on the 25th, basically.
Okay. So all in favor, yay?
Yay.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution for budget transfers in the amount of $7,000 to coroner's account to provide funding for additional expenses utilizing special legislative contingency funds.
Any questions or discussion for DA?
I would come up, right? Coming out of special legislative. You don't have the funds in your own account, in your coroner's account?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You don't have funds in your coroner's account for this?
No, we're pretty much already out. Most of it I sent, do you not have, did the letter not go out?
It was included in the packet.
Yeah, I sent a long letter in the packet. We're down to $2,000 in professional services. This is not the regular salary. This is the expense for costs associated with like doing autopsies, and then we had a bill from Albany for they've done outside autopsies, and most of those were 2019 expenses that they just billed. That was either, I don't remember because I'm not looking at my letter, $6,000 or $8,000. So that took us in the hole to pay that bill. And then it also showed the expenses from the current autopsies and the lab costs up at the hospital. Lab, toxicology, x-rays, things like that, and the expenses associated therewith.
You don't have money in your own budget, or budget?
They're two different budgets.
They're two different departments. I don't exactly know what past practice might be, but in the middle of the year, there's really no other place to take it from unless we know that they're going to have an excess in the coroner's department.
Any other discussion?
Well, I read your letter and I was confused, so excluding the 2019 $6,000 or $7,000, whatever it is, you're on budget for this year, for 2020.
Not from professional services. We're out of money from professional services. That expense, we're fine with Dr. Livingstone's budget because he's basically an employee and he's annual salary. All of that is on expense, or all of that is on cost. All our other costs, what is out of budget, so to speak, or what is gone, is the amount of money that we spend for services from like the hospital. And then obviously this was an added expense from 2019, which was the additional services spent for autopsies that had to be sent out, meaning these were sent to Albany because Dr. Livingstone was unavailable. So these were additional autopsies that were spent from 2019 that we got billed in 2020.
Okay.
And so those are additional ones that I can't control when he's unavailable, and we have to have an autopsy, so I have to hire someone else. And
Okay.
these went to Albany. But our expenses from...
Those costs were in 2019.
Yes, but were billed in 2020. He billed when the reports
And
came
that was
through.
like $6,000 or $7,000.
The total cost, I think, ended up being about $8,000 at least.
Okay.
Yeah. The other expenses that is cost that we're out of for even the remainder of the year is toxicology, when we have to spend money on x-rays, when we have to do that for a normal autopsy, that comes out of our professional services budget in the coroner budget, which is a separate budget for expenses that the hospital bills us for those associated with an autopsy that's not Dr. Livingstone. Livingstone gets a regular salary. That is done for the year. I think it was budgeted, it's in my letter, whatever that was budgeted at 20,000 or something, that's already gone for this year.
Are we doing more autopsies than normal?
I think we're up a little bit higher. Yeah, I mean, it's a figure that's an unknown, unpredictable figure each year. Some require them that others don't. Yeah, some require, depending upon the nature of the autopsy, some will require x-rays where others don't. So it's an unpredictable figure because I don't know which ones are going to require.
Historically, there should be an average. Some demand less, some demand more.
Correct.
So
and we
how did we get
required
so
money
far?
last year.
Okay. So we need $8,000 to pay for the stuff last year. Why are we so out of line budget-wise this year?
I think because the nature of the autopsies this year so far have required more, what would I would call professional services, labs or x-rays that have cost more money than up to this point. Meaning that the toxicology is required extra, or they have required x-rays because of the nature, accidents, or the nature of their potential injuries.
Did you have a surplus last year? Because
no, we didn't have a surplus. We required money.
$8,000
We required money last year too.
so you're over budget this year and over budget last year. Then,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Continually being over budget.
Well, it's not by choice. I don't know how to explain this. You can either this is an amount that's a guesstimate based upon, I can't predict how many autopsies are going to be required. I can't predict how many might have to be serviced outside of Dr. Livingstone. And I can't predict what the nature of the services are going to be required for the autopsy. Meaning I can't predict how many might
Well,
be.
statistically, you should be able to come up with an average over the last decade. You know how many autopsies you've done over the last decade, come up with a more precise.
And then I can ask you for the more money, and when you've given me
Right,
the
but at
same
least you
amount of
have-
money each year, then I'm going to have to come back to you.
We have something to go with. Right now, you're just throwing cases at us and back bills, and we really don't know what the average
Correct,
number
because,
were per year.
and last year we had the highest number of autopsies, we had the highest number of incidences we've ever had in any previous year.
There you go. But
Correct,
So did we give you the same money this year as you
Yes.
had last year?
yes.
And you managed to, how much over budget were you last year?
I think it was in the letter. I can't remember how much we asked for or needed last year. But it's not on a bill, it's on the billing cycle of when they bill. You also got a bill for $8,000 in 2020 that was from 2019
We get
service.
that part.
They spent approximately 34,000 on that line last year, and the original budget was 30,000, so same budget this year. And they spent 34,000 last year,
So
35,000.
it was 4,000 over last year. So,
Which could have been a rollover from 2018 too. I mean, that's part of the problem. Part of it is while we may have had more, they may not have required, we've had some more accidents and things of natures that have required a greater service such as x-rays, which are fairly expensive.
but you don't know if you're ahead or behind the total number of autopsies that we did last year compared to this year.
As of right now, no, I mean, no, I don't know where we are total. Nor do I know where we're gonna be. This is what I can tell you. I can tell you, I can bring the bills each time, you can pay them just as they come and not give a buffer. That's up to you guys. I can't control the bills. I'm happy to just submit them when they come and you can just pay them as they come. I'm not asking you for anything. I can't control that number and I can't control that expense. So all I can do is give them to you as they come, and you can pay them as they come, or you can put money in and have money left over. That's your choice. I'm not asking, this is not a choosing to spend kind of thing. This is not a fluff portion of the budget. This is, if someone dies in a car accident or someone shoots, you've got to sometimes find out where the bullet went. You've got to sometimes find out if they've broken their neck. You've got to sometimes find out if they've broken other parts of their body. Sometimes you don't have to find that out. So I am happy to do whatever portion of that budget you choose to do. If you want to keep it each year at that same amount, assuming a general average, I'm fine to do that. But when that money runs out, then I'm going to have to come and say, I'm done with the budget at that portion of the year. And we can hope that I get to the end of the year and don't have to spend it all.
Well, that's basically what you're doing right now.
Well, correct.
You're saying you don't have the money to cover the bills.
Yeah.
So you're out of money at what?
June.
June.
Yeah.
6 months.
Yep.
But yet, you were close last year with what was budgeted. So
Correct.
but you can't tell us how many more cases you have this year.
If I had the
Correct.
prediction of knowing how many people would die and under the
No, I'm
circumstances,
saying you should know how many, by numbers right now, if you had 10 autopsies from January 1 to June 1.
yeah,
you
I
know.
didn't bring that knowledge down with me because I thought my 2.5-page letter was pretty specific about where we are in circumstances.
So I have a question. I'm confused here. So when Dr. Livingstone is not available, you just send
I have
bodies to
to-
Albany? Is that what you?
Albany, last year I had to send one to Rochester and to Albany. Syracuse is not taking any of our overflow. Trust me, I've tried.
Oh, I was just wondering.
Albany is
I felt
the only one who's
confused.
accepted them that would come testify. I can send them to Monroe County, but they will not come testify if I need it for any reason of a criminal nature. Albany at least will do that. The next closest would be Broome County.
What's the reason, I mean, you have the overflows, you on vacation, or you only have limited amount of time with them?
Sometimes he's been out. He was also had some medical situations where he was gone. So it's whenever he is not able to be returned within about a 48-hour time period.
Okay, and they have no backup up there other than you.
Not anyone who can do an autopsy, no. Yeah. And then the nearest facility, we used to be able to go to Onondaga County, but due to their limited staffing, they are no longer accepting it without a contract. And even I've spent the last year trying to get in with a contract, and they aren't opening up contracts. Medical examiners' offices are struggling right now to maintain their certifications.
I can add to that. I think this is a line item that we're gonna expect year over year is going to need to go up, because the one provider that we have, Dr. Livingstone, is quite elderly, and he serves Jefferson, Lewis, and parts of St. Lawrence. So we have been working with Leanne and her counterparts in Lewis, Jefferson, St. Lawrence, Oswego, and Franklin. We've met a couple times to talk about this problem, because we actually having a relationship with Albany, as expensive as that is a dream for Franklin County and St. Lawrence County, who are currently Franklin County sending them to across Lake Champlain into Vermont a couple times. So imagine the transportation bill alone. So we have been, I hate to say it, but actually fortunate to have a relationship with Albany, even though it costs us an arm and a leg, because other places, that Albany won't take Franklin County. So we're lucky because we have relatively low volumes, even though this year's up a little bit, but our total is usually no more than 25. I would say on average we're 20 to 25.
Autopsies.
Autopsies, yeah. So 20 to 25 per year. Obviously, it sounds like this year's a little bit more. I haven't looked at those numbers, but because we're so low volume, I mean, you're talking about St. Lawrence and Jefferson that are easily 200, 150 to 200 a year. Nobody wants to take their work, but we can get in. We can beg Monroe County. It's just one. We don't have that many. It's just one that'll take us. So we've actually been a little bit lucky with that. But this is something that we've talked about at NISAC, because it's going to be a regional problem, because there's no forensic pathologists. There's only like 300 in the whole United States. So there's just not the availability of these professionals that do autopsies.
You just have to always tell them.
What's that?
You said there's lots of them, tell them.
Yeah, that's true. Can we get the girl from NCIS?
So essentially, you bumped it up over last year.
I don't know if we bumped it up.
6,000
I don't know if we budgeted it.
No, the budgeted amount was the same.
from the 19.
But I'm saying that probably I'm sure if we go back and look at my budget notes, I'm sure Leanne probably asked for more, and I told her, well, we'll see if we can make it. I would probably bet that's how we did it.
Well, I know we've gone over on it each year. I think it's probably been a perpetual trend.
So I think, sometimes with these line items, we're gonna talk budget later today, but there's a couple line items that have ticked up over the years, and as much as we try to push them back, we end up always adding money midway anyway. So this is probably one that as we go into 2021, we'll have no choice but to bump up. It is what it is.
Right, if I heard you correctly, you said on average you thought it was 20, 25 per year.
Yeah.
Taking Leanne's note here, I got 14 in the first 6 months of this year. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think we attached some bills so you would see
Yeah, you got
the
like
general.
4, 1, and 5. No, that totals up to about 14.
Yeah,
So if we status quo, you're gonna have 28 total this year, so it makes sense you're gonna have more than, right?
I showed you just a couple bills to show what a the block is a regular autopsy cost. If I don't want to get right next to you, so, although I gotta be 6 feet apart to see it. So a block is a regular autopsy cost, so each one costs with the drug screen expanded, so that's a regular autopsy cost. So you got $600 for just a regular autopsy cost. So, and so then you got like the 400. So then you can see what an x-ray costs. So if x-rays are needed, you're talking about $1,800 per case. So if you have accidents and different things of that nature, that's where you're showing expended costs. So those are just some examples of, and I think in there were some extra costs, probably looking to see whether one of those was probably, I think a flu was ordered, so that's why those, that was from 1226, I think there was some question as to a respiratory, so I think that was a question of an extra flu. So that was over $1,000. So that's where our costs are, that's where the cost is coming out of that line item.
So this whole thing here is one autopsy?
No, those are different. We just took out identifying information so you would know what it is. Those are different.
Okay.
Those are just examples of types of tests that are ordered per autopsy.
So these aren't even the same autopsy?
No,
here,
no, no.
At the end of the year, you really need to know, not exactly, but we got encumbered goods. And if we know that, we put what you think's the appropriate amount in there to cover those, so you can kind of separate.
Yeah, if we would have known about this bill, it could have been encumbered, and then
Right.
the money would have been there.
Right. So, I mean, that would be what I would ask if there's any way you can do it. You're not gonna have the exact price, but like at the end of the year, say you send one in 2020, and you don't think you're gonna get the bill till 2021.
Yeah, it's not that I haven't asked for them. They're just not
Well,
always
even if you don't
very
get-
great at.
Even if you don't get the bill, what it would help is if we got a surplus or you got it in your account, we can take it out and put it over there, and it may not be exact, but we can put a little bit of money, because you incurred that in 19.
Okay, I mean, I can try. They're
I
not
think
very
that
great
would
at
help
telling
a
me
little
what the
bit.
costs are.
We still gotta pay it, but you wouldn't get hammered on 2020's budget for $7,000 from 19.
Yeah, even if you just knew that you had one or two
Right.
autopsies out, you could put some money in there.
I can let you know, because I know when they occur.
I think it would help.
I remember our conversation, because we closed the books February 28th, and I remember you and I talking and saying, do we have that final invoice yet? And we didn't have it, and we said, well, we're closing,
Yeah.
the book's closed. So, it is what it is when you get to that point.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
you can ask for a bill, but shockingly, they don't.
If we get it in there, say,
Yeah, I mean, it was,
It's hard, it is hard to predict. I mean, I
Exactly what they're
equate
from.
this line item is actually very similar to another one that we have, which is indigent burials at DSS. So last year, we were just reviewing that. Last year, we typically put in $60,000 a year, but we've had years where it was as low as 35, 40,000. we had last year was 67,000, and we've had years historically where it was, 70,000. So how do you know who's gonna, wheel in and need to be, taken care of by the county? So it is hard to get it right. I think, like the indigent burial, a lot of these variable ones, the way I look at it is, well, there's a reason we have contingencies. Why charge the taxpayer? So if we bump this line item up to 50,000, we've just put 25 extra $1,000 on the taxpayers that we weren't sure we were gonna need. If we just have a little bit of flexibility and are okay with dipping into contingency as needed, then you're not double, you're not adding to your levy, but you still have enough to cover your bills nonetheless. So that's one way that we've looked at it, but it is tough to predict, and I think that, I think we need to get used to this line item being a problem, because it is a major problem for St. Lawrence County, it's a major problem for Franklin County, and save for Dr. Livingstone, who's in his 80s, it's gonna be a major problem for us. 70s.
I think he looks older than he is.
Okay.
Yeah, he's only in his 70s. Just because you're on tape, I don't think he's that old. Just to save him some grace, he's not that old. But, and he doesn't look that old, Dr. Livingstone. You look lovely, Dr. Livingstone. And that will be. I mean, we're looking towards solving that problem, but it's a major, major problem. And he's entitled to vacations, and when he goes, I just knock on wood and pray a lot, because you can't, if it happens at the beginning of his vacation, I'm calling and begging Albany County, and that's where we're at right now, because Monroe County, I don't even think honestly would take it anymore. That was a special favor, and I don't think they would. I think Albany would, and there's rumors that Albany may not in the future, so. And I think he is right now, because it worked out fairly well on the last few cases, but he's swamped dealing with his situations in Albany, so.
Right now, we're looking at the 7,000 out of contingency, right? To cover 7,000 in the corner. I make a motion to go ahead and do that. $7,000 now.
There's a resolution in there.
Did anybody have any other questions? Okay. We got Dick, we have a motion to go ahead and pay the bills. So
You don't need a motion, you just need yea or nay.
So the 7,000 is gonna cover what we have.
But
there'll be more.
So you wanna deal with those as they come in?
I just,
Yeah.
you bring them down, we'll deal with them.
So we'll need a resolution each time? Okay,
Well, the money will be there.
okay. Because that's fine, because they'll just be hospital bills, generally speaking. So they'll be the hospital,
Well, they're used to a 90-day window.
comes out of the same budget, I think.
At least 72, right?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yep.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Resolution adopting in its entirety the 2019 Lewis County Hazard Mitigation Plan as the jurisdiction's official hazard mitigation plan, and resolves to execute the actions identified in the plan that pertains to this jurisdiction, and resolves to provide an update to the plan no less than every 5 years.
Any discussions or questions? I only had one. I think we did, but I'm not sure. Did we all get that plan?
You got it electronically, but it's actually on the website, because if you print it out into binders, it's
300 pages
it's
long, Jerry.
full binder.
Okay.
You all got a summary of it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Resolution authorizing an agreement between the County of Lewis by and through the Lewis County Highway Department and Barton and Judas to provide engineering services for the design phase regarding the bridge replacement project identified as County Route 21 over Gulf Stream, with a term beginning May 19th, 2020 through December 31st, 2021, for an amount not to exceed $253,000, with 80% eligible for federal funds and 20% non-federal funds.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Carried.
Resolution authorizing supplemental agreement number 3 to bridge replacement project contract known as County Route 48 over North Branch Sugar River with New York State DOT for the design, construction, and construction inspection phases for the project.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Resolution setting a public hearing to be held on August 4th, 2020 at 5 p.m. to provide residents of Lewis County with the opportunity to offer any comments on the accomplishments of the current CDBG project known as the Micro Enterprise Grant Program for small business activities in Lewis County.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed, nay? Carried.
Resolution for appropriation of funds in the amount of $510,000 for the CDBG Manufacturers Housing Grant to authorize revenues and expenditures for the program funds, which will be administered by Snowbelt Housing Company.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution determining that the Lewis County CDBG Manufactured Housing Replacement Project constitutes a Type 2 action as defined by the regulations promulgated under the State Environmental Quality Review Act of the State of New York, and as such, the regulations specify that such program and project will not have a significant impact upon the environment, and therefore, no further procedure under SECR is required with respect to the project.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor, aye? Opposed, nay? Carried.
Resolution authorizing the County of Lewis through the Planning Department to enter into a continuing agreement for the receipt of the county, by the county, of additional federal operating assistance payments related to COVID-19 pursuant to Public Law number 116-136 and the annual project application process and program for federal assistance for the contract period commencing January 20th, 2020 through December 31st, 2022, with project eligible costs not to exceed $1,278,734.
Is there any questions or discussions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution for appropriation of funds in the amount of $432,069.48 in the public defender accounts for years 1 and 2 of the New York State Office of Indigent Services statewide grant.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution regarding seeker review of new trail added to the Lewis County trail system and declaring no significant impact on approximately 0.65 miles of certain portions of the Burdick's Crossing Road.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Resolution authorizing submission of the 2020 to 2021 snowmobile trails grant in aid application through the Director of Recreation, Forestry, and Parks.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Resolution authorizing an agreement between the County of Lewis and E.F. Johnson for the implementation of 2 new frequencies for the E911 radio emergency communication system, and that the cost shall not exceed $1,328,057.92 and is funded under the interoperable communication radio grant with no county share.
I would like to table that one until we get done with our conference call with E.F. Johnson. Is everybody in favor of that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, nay? And what it is once we get that discussion and stuff like that, everybody knows what the proposal do, and we may have some questions too. So that's tomorrow at What time do you show?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Jerry, will this bill go forward in July, or will we have to come back to committee in July?
No, what we'll do is once everybody gets their questions answered, because tentatively we were gonna have, they were coming in originally,
They
right?
were, and then this whole thing
Conference
backed
call's
up.
no different. We can still ask the questions and stuff like that, just to make sure.
Okay. We just need, we have about between $300,000 and $400,000 in grant money that has to be spent by December, which is going to go to this project, but we need to get it started.
Yeah.
So we don't lose that,
We will.
or give it back. We don't want to do that.
Well, I know you can find a place for it.
Well, we can, but,
Yeah, I know what you're
this would
saying.
be where we want to use it, preferably.
But, we still need to have that discussion and stuff.
Schedule tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And we'll bring it up on the screen for anybody who's here so they can see the.
And hopefully the fellow legislators are there. We can move it forward for the next monthly meeting.
Okay.
I don't see any real big problem.
Is that a Zoom or are we coming in here?
Pardon?
Is that a Zoom or are we coming in here?
I don't,
It's
what's
just a Skype.
Skype? So it'd be, you can do it from home computers, everything else. And Ryan or Cheryl will send out the call-in number
Okay.
and different stuff for
We should have got
identify.
it, but I'll send it out again.
Okay,
We should have it.
appreciate it.
Well, we have it, it wasn't sent out to, well, I wasn't sure how interested everybody was in frequencies. So I guess we can send it out if everybody wants it.
Well, I think the biggest thing is what we're buying for that.
Right.
And it'd be nice if they want to participate to know what's going on. that's all.
Yeah, we'll send it out.
Jerry,
Yeah.
but for the resolution itself, the amount is not going to change?
No.
Okay, so just so the committee knows, that's the amount that the cost of the two frequencies would be. So if it's brought to the board on July 7th, everybody knows what it's about.
Right, the biggest thing is just that we can do what we're planning on doing and keep the other stuff.
Jerry, is there any possibility of, it says with no county share, but is there any possibility of a trickle-down effect to the fire departments for radios or stuff like that? I don't know much about this.
Originally, the way we put it together, and unless it's voted on, we were buying the first time after that, and I'm pretty sure it was in the agreement. I'll have to ask Joan. The radios are their responsibility from now on.
Yes, but Jerry, this project is, Lewis County is, done the research and is in the process of licensing 2 additional frequencies, in addition to the 5 pairs that came with the original project. The 2 new frequency pairs we're looking to put in service as phase 2, which basically takes those 2 pairs and through the computers divides them into 4. So we're actually doubling our capacity, but we're only doing the cost of 2. We're only moving law to the phase 2. The fire will see no difference. And then as radios wear out, as repeaters wear out, you cannot buy, you should not buy a phase 1 because it's obsolete. So as our equipment ages out, everybody will eventually go over to phase 2, as we need to repair it. So the firemen will not see, nobody will really know the difference, which channel, which phase the radios are operating on.
Great.
It's, but there is no trickle down to the firemen or to the law, because everything is included in that one price, which is grant covered, if we get it.
Eventually,
Sure,
they
appreciate it.
will,
The firemen do too.
Pardon me, eventually the firemen's radios will wear out, just like their old system did. And and we've already had a few radios that have died, and they're not repairable. They've had to replace their radios, and they understand that. Well, they will not be forced to a blanket replacement, no.
No, because what we're trying to do is phase that in. I would prefer 10 years. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yep.
So in other words, it gives all the fire departments replacing their radios and outside entities. They can be at the phase 2 without going through the expense instantly. So the best fix for us is the sheriff's department, take them to phase 2 because we can do it fairly cost effectively compared to trying to put everybody there at one time. So eventually everybody will be phased into the phase 2, but it'll be quite a
It'll
few
be-
years
yes.
down the road.
As their radios wear out, they will buy new ones, which are now mandatory phase 2 compliant.
Yeah. So when we do the switch permanently for everybody, they should be up and just be able to operate. Now, the phase 2 radios will operate on phase 1. There's no problem there. It's just operating on the phase 2.
Thanks.
Anybody got anything for the committee?
We got this other one that John gave us up to look at it.
Yeah, I have one more docket too.
Okay.
Resolution stating findings and recommendations by the Board of Legislators for the property owned by Derek J. Farr located at 6948 Wetmore Road, town of Watson, New York.
So, Jerry, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead and give them a condensed
So I
version.
leave. You're not gonna vote on it. If you wanna leave, you can, but you can recuse yourself on the vote. Okay. Andrea has a conflict with on this particular matter, so she's leaving the meeting. At the meeting last month, we had the hearing. Mr. Farr did not appear. We placed everything on the record, and the board gave him 30 days to clean up the property and directed me to follow up with enforcement through the court because of the nature of the person involved. So, thinking through it a little bit more, I requested that from Jerry that we entertain this resolution at the next board meeting, because I know that the court is going to want to see some kind of final resolution from the board instead of just a motion that was in the minutes. And what this does is essentially then, because our board meeting is July 7th, I put in the resolution that we're giving Mr. Farr until July 15th to clean up his property. The court is not taking any major matters, and they're not acting on it immediately anyway because they're still under New York laws. So no action is really going to happen between now and July 15th anyway. So I thought, just as a matter of due diligence for what I know the court's going to require, that I would put the findings of this board in an actual resolution document, and that way I have it to bring to the board.
Now, this is one that's already, he's been in front and what they found, or this is a request to the board?
This is to the board, because we had the hearing before the board at the
Right,
last
okay.
meeting. So it's the findings from what we presented to you at the meeting last, in June. A couple of weeks ago.
So does anybody have any questions? Or why we,
This is kind of the next step.
Yes, it's just better to have a actual certified document from this legislative body to bring to the court.
We're asking the court to confer.
Right.
and I guess the only question I had, and it's just for discussion, is this something when we get to these points anyways that we probably ought to be doing for everybody?
No, it's not really necessary.
Just certain
You
ones.
have the ability under the local law to direct action
Okay.
for cleanup, but just knowing the history of this particular person.
So it would be when we run into those issues.
Right. Right.
You need a motion or just a nay?
Just a yay and a nay.
I'm missing one.
She's
Oh,
gone.
she's gone, okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried. Okay, I did, Kip dropped it off, Ryan hasn't seen it. Barbara and Judith, next week, 23rd, 24th, 26th are open, and the following week, the 30th and 1st are open. So I'll give you this, Ryan.
So the 25th isn't open.
No.
Okay. we'll figure it out.
Well, let's go 24th.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll move Randy's. We'll figure it out. We'll have this on our schedule so everybody is.
And then, come back, you do that.
Yeah, I wasn't able to talk to her personally. I left her a message, and then she sent a text out, email out to the crew,
Okay.
and they're gonna get together and talk it over, I guess.
Okay.
They had when I got back down on my computer, she had already sent back the deduct list that they had already done up, and we can kind of look at it if you want. They also did a request for proposal already ahead.
Okay.
So there'll just be a little adjustment to it by what we talked about doing, and I'll try to get back with her this
Okay.
afternoon again on it.
And then, you know, what I'll do is let everybody know once we figure out which way we're headed and stuff like that, Warren, Ryan, I'll get together, go from there. Has anybody got anything else to bring up?
Jerry, we still have motions.
Well, thank you, Cassandra.
We don't want to do that first. We want to pull that first one, if that's all right, Jerry, because we still have an option for another year with the current vendor, and the current vendor gave us a pretty good price, so we want to stay with that snowplow first.
Okay, so we're
We
gonna
went
get
out
that.
to bid, we went out to bid on this in 2018, and so, you know, good practice is to go out every 5 years or so, so we still have another year, and quite honestly,
Okay.
he gave us the best price from the last time we bid out, so.
Well, no, I agree and stuff like that. The thing is we just, if it's 5 years, that's fine. We just need to keep the pencil sharpened.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is year 3.
Because when we have competition, it just seems like the prices improve.
This guy we were pretty happy with before, so.
We weren't when he first started, but he's improved a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's grown into it.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion to authorize Buildings and Grounds Supervisor Matt O'Connor to put out an RFP for 911 tower road repair for 6 towers.
Okay, the only question I got, maybe Cheryl can answer. Those roads they put in, what are you planning on trying to do with the RFP?
We want to be able to widen them a little bit and reshape them for better water drainage, and also add some areas where most of these towers get a lot of snow, and it makes it difficult to push snow when you have to drive through a ditch or something like that. We need to make better areas for snow removal and to bring the driveways back up to snuff where they, because they were just, I believe, temporary roads. Is that correct, Cheryl? When they put them in, when they built the towers?
They were basically roughed in. I mean, they were never, the intention was always to go back and finish them, and that's what we're doing basically.
Okay, I thought they did. The only question I have, and I can't remember, but you might want to check it to make sure the right of way
I assume right now, we're working on the right of ways.
is enough. Because they set up a right of way, I remember them being flagged. So as long as we don't get outside those and cause problems.
It should be in the lease document.
Yeah.
And it says in the lease documents that we have the right essentially to go in and update our driveways, our existing driveways essentially.
But if we're looking to expand, we may have to check with the landowners and make sure.
Yeah, that's all I think.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember how wide they were.
Yeah. I had sent Joan a message on that a while ago, so I think you
Okay.
guys have
Is everybody good with that? All in favor?
Actually, I need somebody to make the motion and then a second.
Okay. Andrea, we have a second? Ian? Any questions?
This is number 2.
Yeah. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
I need a motion to authorize Highway Superintendent Warren Shaw to put out an RFP for fuel pump reconstruction.
Okay, motion. It's the RFP. What we're gonna do is find out whether they can correct that on the fuel tanks. And if not, we'd like to get it out by Friday,
I'll
regardless.
move it.
Okay, second? Dick? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Motion to authorize Highway Superintendent Warren Shaw to refill one full-time MEO worker due to resignation effective immediately.
Any discussion? I guess the only question I got, we've got half of them laid off, so it isn't necessarily right
So
now.
we brought someone, we're bringing someone back to replace this person, but by the time we post and interview and fill,
So
the
you're bringing
intention
someone-
would be about August 1st when everyone is coming back. But someone's going to come back early from their furlough
Okay,
in order to finish his summer.
then I'm fine with it. So we have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Dick, we have a second.
Second.
Ron? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion to authorize Sheriff Carpinelli to refill one part-time dispatcher position due to resignation effective immediately.
Any questions, discussion? It's budgeted. Wait, someone make a motion? I'll make the motion. We have a second. Ian, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Carried.
Before we close up, Jerry, were we gonna talk about, the planning interviews? Did you wanna do that today? Do we have time? We've still got time with this before. Can we do a quick executive session to schedule and figure out what we're gonna do with the plan now that we can get back together again?
Yeah. You have 5 minutes to what?
We need a motion.
Yeah, put a 5 minute. Ron and Dick, all in favor?
Aye.
5-minute break.
Executive session or break?
Break, then executive session. That's what I got out of it.
Where'd Lauren go? He's gonna see a lot. You're gonna see a lot of the back of your head because you kept walking in and sitting right in front of the camera.
Oh, yeah? What's up?